How's everyone doing? This is the 11 show, or the 11/7 live show, and it's a big good one. You know, I always say that before each one, but the thing is, I get better every week. I learn new things every week. I strategize more every week. That being said, you know, just can't make this up, can you? I was literally about to say, you know, this is the first stream I started without any difficulties, but my necklace is lost. This is all I write. Okay, half of these are full. I should probably put these away. But went through this in like 2 or 3 months. It's all with a bunch of. That's one that this one's probably full. But no one cares about that. I'm trying to get this thing started. I don't have a necklace. Alright, give me like 2 minutes. I'll find it real quick. Alright, necklace acquired. Wasn't too bad, was it? I don't even think it took 2 minutes. It was in the wrong drawer. Anyway, so I'm having a good stream today, as always. Like I said, every week I'm learning new things, so every single stream, there's new ideas, new plans, all this new stuff that's being put into practice. And that's really the core of getting better, you know? A lot of you guys are trying to achieve things. If every week you kind of just show up as the same person, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, the heuristic I've always gone through the past 2 or 3 years is... That's really when I started all this stuff. Before those 2 or 3 years, I was kind of just a geek. I wasn't smart about the important topics. I didn't really know anything I know about now. But I was able to get there because every week... I look at myself a week before and go like, you know, that guy a week ago was a retard. When you can do that, when you can say that consistently, you know you're making good progress. That being said, start getting into actually talking about this. I did some audio work, so hopefully the audio sounds good. You know, audio's always been a consistent issue. But, you know, hopefully so far my internet's doing pretty well. 0.2% drop frames. That's basically nothing. It's pretty good for a stream. In any case, okay, let's get at the first subject. Jesus Christ is the antidote to self-improvement. Self-improvement as in the culture we see now, the Andrew Tates, the Hamzas, the Myron Gaines, all these different people. Okay, and we all have realized to a degree that what they've said is empty in some way. Though some haven't, but by the end of this, you'll know it's empty if you're on the edge. These people lie to you. Self-improvement, this whole culture, they all lie to you. So do lie. they produce fake results, and it actually digs you deeper in the hole that you're in before. Right? And this is not just something saying, trying to improve your life is a hedonistic thing. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is they sell you gimmicky habits first and foremost. For instance, meditation. This is more of Hamza's thing. The meditation, like sit and track your breath. You see all that and you're like, oh, you're going to get such good results from that. You're going to make $1 million if you meditate. And, Hamza had a drama recently, and it's the reason why his name's so fresh in my mind. And it was with one of his old friends. I'm not going to give the whole rehash, but the point is that these habits, this meditation, the cold shower, so on and so forth, they don't really work as well as they say they do. Like, they're cool little tidbits. They're tidbits, but they make their whole entire brand around it. Hamza's whole entire thing is meditation, cold showers, do the hard work when you don't want to. Then you have the whole discipline mantra from Andrew Tate, David Goggins, so on and so forth. Discipline, you gotta work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. And what this leads to, for all of you guys, you probably noticed this, is you go up and you go down, you go up and you go down, you go up and you go down. It's like this huge up and down cycle of I'm doing well, I'm not doing well, I'm doing well, I'm not doing well. And that's because these people don't really understand how the mind transforms. Okay, us as Christian men, we are given a blueprint, which I'll talk more about later, that solves all these gimmicky habits, solves all this up and down. And I'm not saying that meditation and cold showers are terrible things that you shouldn't do, but they don't even understand how it works within their own system. They don't even understand the real importance of that. Like, you ask them what meditation is, and like, well, meditation, it makes your mind, clear. That's not even the main purpose of meditating, right? You don't even know what you're doing. Okay, and I do believe in spiritual practices such as that, but it's for a bigger reason. It's not just clear your mind or discipline for the sake of, just work hard. To what end? To what aim? That's really one of the core points here. These people will lead you to developing a God complex. What is a God complex? A God complex is when an individual sees himself as the center of the universe. Okay? This is because when you are listening to these people, and these people are giving you advice, they don't have God with them. They aren't Christian. So what is their point? What is their reason for improving? What is the point? And when I say don't believe in God, don't come at me with, Andrew Tate and Hamza, they talk about God. Andrew Tate drinks, promotes that stuff, he promotes sleep with a bunch of chicks, and Hamza has a Christmas tree. And he also drinks and smokes. I don't know if he drinks, actually. He does smoke, though. And they talk about it openly. They don't really talk about their faith much. It's really just a social thing. It's like, look at me, I believe in God. It's a popular thing now. They don't actually believe in God. And they don't even claim the Christian God, which is the only true God. But let's get back to the point of a God complex. So, when you don't have God ultimately as your foundation, really everything's just driven by your own self-desire. In a way, it's hedonism. But they mask it in this cloak of virtue. But where can virtue come from if not God? God is the only place where virtue can come from. So these people, they have fake virtue, false virtue. So when they're doing these things, it just leads to them having it all revolve around their own well-being, as opposed to what's good. And the thing is with that, is that when you make things about your own well-being, and you haven't actually worked with your mind, which is people don't understand psychology. They don't even understand basic psychology. When you understand that, you don't understand that your desires in the moment are false desires. You just think, I want this, but you don't actually want that. Talk more about that later. In any case, this is a perfectly seen what Hamza's doing now. And Hamza changes his mind every 3 weeks. He's been on TRT for 1.5 years. The up and down cycle. Do this, do that, do this, do that. It's just ridiculous. That's because they don't have a proper foundation. But before that, my experience with this mindset, I've been a Christian for my whole life. Started taking it seriously a few years ago. But I used to dabble a lot more in this mindset that they have, that they taught. And this is what I noticed. what I noticed is that when I was mainly following their principles, their advice, there would be a lot of moments where I would feel good. Like, oh yeah, I feel good. I'm making progress. I check something off the box. But when I would go to sleep, the same thoughts would return. And that is because of this. For self-improvement to really work, you need a foundation first. Okay? It's like building a house. This is a parable Jesus used, but in this case, it applies perfectly. When you build a house, the foundation can either be of crap or stone. When you're doing all these self-improvement habits, when you're doing all these self-improvement principles, what is the foundation? Is it just how you feel and what's going to be, quote-unquote, best for you? That's what Hamza thinks, and he changes his mind every 1 or 2 weeks. That's why he does it, because you know who doesn't change? God. God is immutable. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Immutable. That means they don't change. They're unchanging. When you ground yourself, when you paint your foundation God, that doesn't mean you won't perfectly not change, because you are not God, but you're at least grounding yourself in principles that do not change. When Hamza grounds his principles, it's based on himself. So because of that, he always changes, because feelings change, people change, God doesn't change. So if you make your foundation God, things won't change as much, and beyond that, true transformation can only come from God, because what are we really trying to do when we're trying to do self-improvement, right? What we're really trying to do in self-improvement is to get ourselves from here to there. Improvement, go up. That requires you to look at yourself and go, you know what? This is wrong. That is wrong. I want to be better. I'm going to take these things that were wrong with me and turn them into good things. That's an act of purification. But what doctrine, under this secular concept of self-improvement, what doctrine gives you purification? What, just doing more push-ups? And listen, I work out. Okay? I take my appearance relatively seriously. So don't come at me like, oh, well, you're just like a scrawny nerd, like a sway face, who just, doesn't like working hard. I mean, look at the videos on my channel if you think that's what I'm saying. What I am saying is that ultimately, we're trying to answer a question within ourselves that we've been trying to answer our whole entire lives without realizing. Because that's the truth for all of you guys. If you haven't searched deeply within yourself, and you're not going to find it by just doing that meditation thing or taking a cold shower, there's a deep existential question in every single person that they've lived their whole entire life trying to answer for themselves. Could be, why did my dad leave me? Was I not good enough for my dad? Am I good enough? It could be, why did my mom abandon me? Why can't I get mom's love? These type of questions that are related to the deepest and darkest parts of ourselves. Those are the things that actually lead to self-improvement. Gym, all that stuff, that comes after. If you don't do that thing first, all the stuff you're going to do is in vain, and you're just running from your own self, which you can't do. There's 2 things you can't run from: God and yourself. And when you do that, you're trying to run from yourself. And you got to confront it. You got to confront what's hard. These people never tell you that. They just tell you to brute force, go through with it, or journal about it. Journaling about it only does about 20% of that. When you become Christian, I understand that a lot of Christians don't give very good advice in this regard, but I'm trying to change that. That's why I'm making this content. What you have to understand is that when you're trying to take these things that happen to you, this dark void within you, and trying to turn it into something for the good, that's turning darkness into light. Who is the light? Jesus Christ, God. So you're not going to turn darkness into light by yourself. Not truly. You can make a little bit of progress. Because ultimately, in some sense, we're all connected to God. But if you don't explicitly believe in Jesus Christ, Christianity, God, the true God, you're never really going to turn that dark part of yourself into the light. Which is ultimately the goal of self-improvement, turn the dark into the light, bad into the good. That's why Jesus Christ is the antidote to self-improvement. Only true transformation can come from Jesus. Always remember that. Alright, this first video. I felt like I was kind of rambling at the start. Trying to do the thing. Just gag out my tongue for a second. Alright. Next. if you treat yourself like a real Christian man, watch how the world responds. Alright? Most Christian men don't embody what real Christian masculinity teaches, the Bible. Right? The Bible, they don't follow what it says. And I used to be a loser. I used to be the worst offender. I didn't care about my appearance. I didn't care about being assertive. I didn't care about any of these things. And I was content with just being a overweight loser that really was doing nothing in his life, And this is completely against what the Bible teaches. What does the Bible teach? The Bible teaches men to be strong. The Bible teaches men to take charge in leadership. The Bible teaches men to carry themselves with respect, not soy face all over the place. Calls them to be patriarchal. Calls them to be strong in spirit. It calls them to be so many things. But mediocrity has been normalized in society, first and foremost, and then Christian spaces. Which is really sad because we have the best blueprint towards living a better life. We have God, and we have the commands from the true God, and God tells the truth, so, because God is truth, these are true commands. Yet, I'm not going to get too far into the geopolitical history of it, but essentially, there's been a targeted program, targeted agenda towards dismantling gender roles, dismantling the things that make man man and woman woman, and first and foremost, to do that, they've had to go through the church. So ask yourself, why does most non-denominational churches in America teach this soy theology that isn't good for you? That's not good for us Christian men, and also Christian women by extension. It's because there's an agenda to destroy Christianity. It's an agenda to destroy you. But collectively, it's to destroy Christianity. It's ultimately a battle of good and evil. So, it's been normalized. You've been told these things, I've been told these things, I've gone to those non-denominational churches, and they all told me the same things. Female pastors, listen to your wife. Your wife tells you not to go out, and I was like, oh, okay, honey, hey guys, so my wife told me I can't go out. Like she's your mom or something. It's terrible. And this is the key point here. This is the most important part. The most important part is to be a role model for others. Because I'm going to tell you why, one of the many reasons why Christianity, in some sense, is having a resurgence, but in another sense, it's still falling. Right? The whole idea of becoming Christian has become more popular, but the idea of following Christianity and actually committing to it has become not, I don't think it's going at the same rate. It's because when we are young, we look at people and say, okay, this person is a man, and he's acting like that, so this must be how men are. Same thing with women, same thing with every single category you can cash someone out into. When people look at Christian men, which is you and me, right now they see overweight, they see people with erectile dysfunction, both literally and in spirit. They don't see good things, more often than not. And that sounds very harsh. That sounds like a terrible thing to say. But I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to tell the truth. Okay, that's my experience. That's many other people's experience. It won't change unless we admit it and we work with it. Which is why I make this content, Not just someone screaming from the rooftops, you guys all suck, without trying to provide solutions. That's the whole point of my content. But it's essential for the faith. They would be good role models for other people. When people look at a Christian man and say, you know what, this guy is strong. This guy is, worth listening to. This guy's respectable. Not for the approval of men, but for the approval of God, because the Bible teaches men to be that way. And when you follow the Bible, people respond to a certain way. And that certain way is with respect. And when people start respecting Christian men, they'll respect their religion more. That's just how people work. It's their psychology. So if you care at all about the faith, if you care at all about helping other people, not only for yourself, but for a relationship with God and for your neighbor, start treating yourself like a real Christian man. See how things change. Alright, let's do it. Can I ask a woman question? Sure. Within the next 30 seconds before I move on to the next video. Then get my candle ready. Oh no, don't tell me I lost the pen again. I think I... Yeah, oh no, right here. Alright, cool. Am I allowed to tell my woman what to do, but the woman can't tell the man what to do? Generally speaking, that's the principle. Don't be an autist. Yeah, it goes for everyone. Don't be like, if your wife tells you, "Oh, hon, could you please pass me that spoon?" Don't tell me what to do. Don't be stupid. Okay, but I'm talking about in principle. The principle is that the man isn't. It's like, think of it like you're the quarterback and she's a wide receiver. She has a say. What she says is important. You need to work together, of course. But you're the leader. You're in charge. Think of it like that. If it don't end in teen, then I ain't going in. You know what I mean? Okay. Let's go to the next video. Actually, let me get this, before I even start this recording, let me just get this thing ready. Okay, that'll be used later, well, for this video. Back here. There, okay. These are 4 Bible... Is it 4? 1, 2, 3. It's 3. Okay. Excuse me. Good thing I caught that. Alright. Because I had originally planned 4, and then the 4th one was like, yeah, I feel like I could cut the fat off this video, save that for another video, it'll be better. Okay. These are 3 Bible verses that completely changed my life, determined from a boy's thinking to a man's thinking. Let's get right into it. I'm going to pull up these 4 verses right here. Alright. Make sure you guys can see this just fine. First, 1 Timothy 2, 11, 14. You'll be surprised to hear this one for a video like this, but let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So, before any retard comments, do I hate women? Are women bad people? Of course not. I think women are great. My favorite person in the world is my mom. Okay, women are great. But what is my point in showing this? The point in me showing this is that men and women are different. Okay? When I hear Christians talk a lot, this is what I hear. They're like, oh man, women, they always speak about them in the same ways. They don't differentiate them enough. If you're going to speak as a Christian man, if you're going to speak from the biblical perspective, you have to be talking about men and women in different terms about 80% of the time. Right? The only times it would not be is in matters of faith, believing in God, resurrection, having faith, so on and so forth. Aside from that, when you talk about what they should do in their earthly lives, what they should do in how they speak, what they should do in their work, so on and so forth, well, women should be at home. So, work in quotes. I say work as in homemaking, because homemaking is a job. Homemaking, there's no woman that's tougher than a homemaker. Okay? Always remember that. Don't look down on a woman for staying at home. Staying at home is harder than working a job when you have kids. In any case, When I say boy to a man, this perfectly emphasizes it. Okay, when you're a man, you start understanding that you are not a woman. And you start thinking of yourself in masculine terms. Right? And there's also a pretty good lesson here for the men. So, when we talk about the fall between Adam and Eve, Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. Why did the serpent target Eve? You think that was just coincidence? You think Satan does things on accident? No. Satan is evil, and we destroy Satan through Jesus Christ. But Satan is not stupid. He picked Eve for a reason. I'm not going to go too far into that because YouTube might ban this video. And this does not resolve Adam. Adam's sin, and this is the point, Adam's sin was blindly listening to his wife. And not being a man and being able to put his foot down and say, no, this is wrong. He allowed the woman to usurp him. And it's true this verse is in the context of the church. But the church reflects relationship. Not perfectly one-to-one, obviously there's little differences, but it reflects a relationship. So, in how you carry yourself, you should be a man worthy of the submission of woman. Don't take this as me saying be some fat loser and expect a woman to submit to you and do what you say. No. And have respect for you. No. Be a man. Because when you are a man, this woman will naturally do that for you, and they'll be happy to do it because God made a woman a certain way, and they're happy with a man that acts like a real man. Okay? That's the first one. Second one. This one's very important, especially for what I do. Let me break this up so it's easier to read. Mark 8:35. For whoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever, I use KJV, I usually don't read this version, but whoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. So what it's saying here is that if you try and save your life, and what is saving your life? Saving your life is looking for the approval of men. That's saving your life. Looking for the approval of men before God. Let me put before God. So, I see this all the time. When Christian men are asked, is homosexuality wrong? And they're like, you see, that's like, it's none of my business. That's trying to save your life. You're looking for the approval of men before God. You have the truth, which in some sense is God, because God is truth. You have the truth, and you're diverting from it because men will look at you a certain way. It's kind of like when Jesus said, whoever denies me before others, I will deny before in heaven. Okay? You have to understand, you can't be afraid to express the faith. You can't be afraid to express things that are proper to Christianity. Part of the reason why we're in the situation we're in is because people just don't express the faith. They just don't tell the truth unabashedly. I'm not saying don't be charitable. I'm not saying be reckless. What I am saying is that always prioritize the truth before anything else. Truth comes first. Always. Never try to save your life for the sake of men. Okay? Be happier that men don't like you for telling the truth before you tell the truth so men will like you. 3. Matthew 22:36-9. And this is going to be a really interesting one. This is going to get deep into psychology. All right. The Bible teaches psychology, believe it or not. I know you guys hear a bunch of feminists talking about psychology, but we Christian men, the psychology taught in the Bible is so useful. Here's an example. We have to read in somewhat esoteric terms. Matthew 22:36-9. Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So, there's a surface level explanation of, okay, you should love your neighbor as yourself. You should see the way you love yourself, and you should treat others the same way. It's a golden rule. What's so complicated about this? What's so special? This is what's special about it. This is This is how to achieve things. You may think that's crazy, but listen to this. All right? Ultimately, a transgression against another person is transgression against oneself. Because you understand psychology, you understand this. Okay, so imagine this is a mind. Put M for mind. Let's say this person has a bad assumption about, or had a bad experience with their mom. So put mom, or just put a feminine symbol. Right? Bad experiences with their mom, and they are mad about it. Ultimately, transgression against other people is because of things like this. Okay? Very rarely are we mad at someone for the right reason. If you think about it, most times you're mad, you're being a little bit petty, and you're taking things from the past into the future and applying it to other people. So when you have a chick, this is the incel thing. So when you have a chick who's kind of not super interested in you, you get angry at them. But you're not getting angry at the person necessarily, you're getting angry at your own image of woman. So this is yourself, right? Because you internalized and directed towards yourself the hatred of woman from your mom. And what this causes is you to look at other women the same way. This is a transgression against yourself. A transgression against another is a transgression against oneself. Because if oneself is not transgressing against themselves, they will not transgress against others. Because at a certain point, when you start healing these things through God, which I talked about in other videos, put a little medical symbol right there. When you start purifying things through God, you start seeing other people in different light. You start seeing them in more positive terms. You don't feel so angry at them. You don't feel like doing bad things to them. If you feel like doing bad things to other people, you feel like doing bad things to yourself. That's why. All right, you're just projecting it outwards. You have to project. You have to withdraw that projection and see it within yourself. And that's when you start making big change. And that's the deeper meaning of this verse. This changed my life because I was never super extreme in hating other people, but I would always look at other people and feel certain ways about things and wish they did things for me and so on and so forth. Maybe sometimes I would not do the greatest things to certain people. But after a certain amount of time, I noticed that all these things I was doing towards other people, I was internalizing before that. When I stopped internalizing it, I stopped doing it to them. So, of course, do unto your neighbor as you would do upon thyself. There's a transgression against a transgression against your neighbor, is a transgression against yourself. These are 3 Bible verses that completely changed my life. See you next one. Alright, it's 3. Next week. Modern dating deceived us Christian men. We hear people talk all the time about what women like. We were taught certain things. And over time, we start realizing more and more that the things we were taught were wrong because we're not getting results. It was not an accident. Let me explain to you how. First and foremost, we were lied to about what women like. From the male perspective, this is the case. Same thing for the female perspective. Okay, women were lied to in many different ways. The first and most obvious lie is, be independent. Be independent. You don't need to be a girl boss. You don't need no man. I don't need no man. But the Bible says women are saved through childbirth. Not saved in the literal sense of salvation in heaven, but saved as in that's the most virtuous thing a woman can do. Have children. And you need a man to have a child. Not these retards on TikTok and look, oh, well, actually, we're gonna get like we're gonna get a thing to where we can have babies without men. And the thing that when men talk about how they're gonna get a robot wife, it's just the gayest thing ever. It's like, what are you doing? In any case, the Bible teaches that. That's a lie women are told. Another lie is that, you're not going to be happy staying at home with a good husband. You got to get a job. You got to get a career. But the Bible teaches women, their dominion is home. That's where they should be, home. That's what the Bible teaches. If you're going to be one of these Christians like, you can't say these things. Oh, it's so bad. Why don't you embrace what the Bible says? If you're going to claim to be Christian, embrace what it says. If you're not going to embrace what it says, go be something else. That being said, this led to the collapse of the family values because the woman make a man. Yeah, I know a lot of the red pill people are like, oh, that's not true, that's bad. As a very patriarchal person, women make the man. The woman is the support to the man, right? In the case, your mother raises you. Right? If you're a boy, you're closest to your mom. And your mom's most important. Mom above all. Mom's your first love. So when the mom isn't teaching the children properly, the deepest connection the child would have, the mom, when that's not building a strong, proper connection in truth, that leads to the child starting to go astray. And that leads to how it's spread to men. Men have embraced what they've been told of women. I mean, now if you say anything about a woman staying home, men are like, oh, well, that's crazy. You think it's the 1950s? You're like a misogynist. You're a pig. You're an incel. You're a virgin. You hate women. They've drank the Kool-Aid the same way as the women. And it leads to them being pushovers because they fear the woman. Right? The woman's supposed to fear the man in the sense of respect, but now the man fears the woman. It's backwards. You don't like how that sounds? Well, that's what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that man is the head of woman. That's what it says. And of course, man should love woman, but man is the head of woman. And of course, this results in weak relationships and lustful relationships. Now there's no meaning in a relationship. Now it's sexual liberation. So just have a bunch of sex because it makes your pee-pee feel good. It makes your vajayjay feel good. Oh, wow. Don't forget to pull out. Can't have a baby, or you have to abort it and just kill the baby. Because this is what a good society does. You know, forget about the Bible, forget about God, forget about Christianity. This is what a good society does. I think not. Weak relationships in the sense that what makes a relationship strong is the male and female tension. Okay, masculine and feminine energy having tension with each other and wrestling in some sense, but it's uniting through that wrestling. Now it's just basically woman with woman, or a female that's acting like a man and a male that's acting like a woman, and they have this like weak kind of tension, but the woman doesn't really like it because deep down we all understand that we want a woman and a woman wants a man. But we weren't taught how to align with these desires we have deep down. So what is the solution to all this stuff? It is not what I see a lot of people saying. This is honestly a lot of people in the comments. I'm getting tired of reading these comments. You guys are gay. Okay? If you're saying this type of stuff I'm talking about, I disavow. You're weird. I don't want to hear from you. Okay? It's not this crying and moaning I see all the time. It's like men going, oh, well, women gotta treat us right. Women, they gotta change. We gotta repeal the 19th Amendment. We gotta do all this stuff. You know, this is like, we gotta change all the laws, and women, they should like me although I'm a loser. I don't have anything to give, but they should just like me. That's not the solution. Crying and moaning and doing all this different stuff, it's not the solution. I'm so tired of it. I mean, it's just so... Listen, this is only going to change by men being in a position where women go like, you know what, I respect that man, and I'm going to listen to what that man says. You know? In the case of now, they say like, oh, well, women don't listen to men. Yes, they do. They listen to the ones that they're sucking the penis of. They're just not listening to you, because the guy who they're blowing off, that guy embodies elements of respect that they perceive. Now, obviously, they're degenerate in some sense, but the point is that they are embodying certain traits that a woman like. They say whatever they want, they do whatever they want, they look respectable, so on and so forth. A woman will listen to them. They'll do whatever they say. They won't do what a lot of you guys will say, because, referring to Christian men, because you just don't, got it. I'm not saying be degenerate, of course not. I've never said be degenerate. There's one guy was commenting, oh, well, fornicators won't make it to heaven. You're teaching people to fornicate. I've been saying for 3 years now, ever since I started posting on YouTube, which was like 3.5 years ago, do not have sex before marriage. I literally made a whole video about how losing your virginity too early is bad. I've been making those type of videos for 3.5 years on my different channels. It's just ridiculous how some people, because people don't really listen. Okay, they don't listen to your position. They just listen to a tidbit and are like, oh, well, this guy's talking about this. I understand I'm in a bit of a unique position. Not many people say precisely what I say, but still, it's like, how much of a retard are you? In any case, it's not to get too sidetracked. The solution is not crying him out. The solution is working with it and doing what the Bible says. The Bible calls you to be strong. The Bible calls you to have erectile function of the body, because that's a sign of a strong temple, and also of spirit, strength. Paul says, be strong like men, not be strong like a woman. Oh yeah, hey guys, hi, yeah. That's not what it says. Okay, you'll be surprised how far you can get just by following biblical principle, because biblical principle, believe it or not, is designed for creation, which God made. So when we apply the principles to creation, good things happen. Believe it or not. I understand things aren't presented in this type of way, but it's true. That's the solution. The solution is become a better man. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, what's what the boomers say? The boomers just say, be a better man, be a better man. Do they not know the situation? Of course. They don't really help you that much in terms of giving you advice, which is, it's what I'm doing, but we can talk about the plight. We can talk about the situation. We can talk about, oh, well, we're in a bad spot. We've been screwed over, so on and so forth. But you're just going to be the boomers for the next generation. You're going to have kids that are going to say the same things about you if you don't make a change. So, yeah, the boomers, they speak in a very tone-deaf way, but ultimately this is what we got to do. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm talking about. In any case, that's how modern dating has deceived Christian men. See you in the next one. Alright, that's what? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more. Okay. Or a woman with a woman who acts like a man. That's true. So plenty of lesbian relationships as well. That's a good point. Oh yeah, a bunch of women are turning lesbian, actually. I have been seeing that a lot. Pretty gross, but it's become more common, unfortunately. Alright. Yeah, it's encouraged. Okay, next. We live in a reality devoid of meaning. Now, this is no mistake. This is planned. I'll tell you exactly how. This is the plan to destroy society in a 8-minute or however long video. First, remove God. The easiest way to subvert a society. Remove God, remove Christianity, make Christian men feel weak. Right? And you remove God by teaching nihilism. Remove God by teaching people that they're monkeys, that I'm related to a strawberry, same way you are. So you remove God, and when you remove God, there's no meaning. So when I say I love my neighbor, when I say I love this, I love that, my love for my mom, it's just chemicals, it's just feelings. It's not real. There's no real morality, so on and so forth. But that's not all. It's only the first step. It's a very damaging first step. It's the most damaging first step. But it gives perfect segues to the second step, which is something I see all the time. Because I work with people that happen to be 15 to 21. It's usually the age range that people end up working with. I guess there's one guy who's like 22. But they're in this high school age range. They're around my age. I'm 19. So how kids talk is the most disappointing thing I've ever seen. Because I read a lot. So I'm reading on my Nook, I'm reading on my computer, I'm taking all these notes, I'm reading all day, I'm learning, all this different type of stuff. And then I go to have a conversation with one of these high schoolers. And that's the ones I work with have gotten a lot better, but especially when I talk to their friends, because they bring them, like earlier I was debating a Muslim that's friends with my, sorry, it's accent from the average. But yeah, I work with this one guy who's in high school, and he brought me his friend who's a Muslim, and we were debating, and this guy is the biggest retard I've ever seen. It's not just because he's Muslim. I mean, that's obviously part of it, but the biggest reason why is he just doesn't understand English. They have such an illiterate understanding of just speaking. Like, I'm not even speaking in rocket science terms. If anything, I'm speaking in a very simple way relative to how I could be speaking. And it's true that when you're debating religion and talking about philosophy, it's a higher level subject. But at the same time, I'm simplifying it. I'm oversimplifying it in many cases. He still doesn't understand. But nothing is more shocking and more scary than the younger children. Because the younger children, what do they say? Sigma, 6'7". That's all they say. Literally all they say. They don't say anything coherent. They don't say anything interesting. I remember when I was a kid, and I was a nerd. I was a... actually, guys, on my first day because I used to, when I was a kid, I went to this, upper class white school because I lived in a gated community. But then, something happened between my mom and my stepdad, so I ended up moving out to a shed, middle of nowhere, and that's, where I started trying to make money and whatnot. I was like 12 or 11. But I remember I went to my first day in 5th grade at this new, now ghetto school, and my teacher got a math problem wrong on the board. It was like some addition thing. I don't know, it was like 5th grade math. I forgot what exactly it was. And I raised my hand and went, actually, Mrs., the math problem's wrong. It should be this. Everyone looked at me like I was the biggest loser ever. Now, I did end up getting along with them, but that's beside the point. The point is, I was a geeky kid. Okay? I remember when I was a kid, so I'm a bit up here. Most kids that were my age were probably down here. I'm like up here in this regard. But I would talk about VHS tapes and the history of it, and I would talk about these in-depth subjects. I was talking about baseball because I was watching 15-hour documentary, the DVD box set, and all that stuff. So I was talking in these ways, and I didn't understand literally everything I was saying, but I spoke in a way that had meaning. I meant what I said. I was actually getting at a point. These people just say, brain rot, Sigma, Alpha. Dude, you're a Sigma. I remember when I went to youth group when I was 16. When I was 16, 17, I kind of looked like this, so I'm the big G of the group. And I would wear my suits and whatnot. The girl was like, if you don't have a team, I ain't gonna eat. And I guess. Like, dude, you look like a Sigma. It's the most cringe thing ever. These kids are so retarded, and it's so sad. They can't speak. God, I'm just gonna... Yes, I said 6'7" like 5 times in this video. Damn it. There's a whole meme going on in my community about me saying 6'7" accidentally. I was like, damn. And I got my friend a few times with it, too. But in any case, what kids say just has no meaning anymore. And what do you think it's going to be like when they're adults? They can't sit and watch a 5-minute video that is in-depth and coherent. Even the ones that are smart, they're just looking at TikToks for like 40 seconds. It gives you a very surface level understanding of whatever you're looking at. And TikTok, of course, deteriorates your brain. Makes you retarded. And this all matters. Because with no God at the center, nihilism is all you have. Okay, this whole 6'7", brain rot, Sigma, all this type of stuff you're seeing, this is nihilism. It's nihilism disguised as entertainment. Because what is the whole point of Skibbity Toilet and all these different type of things? There's no meaning to it. That's literally the point. It's just stupid. There's just no meaning at all. What is the worldview without meaning? Nihilism. Nietzsche, the figurehead of nihilism, what did he say about Christianity and God? He said God is a terrible concept. He said God is dead. He's called Christians terrible things. Called them feeble. Called them weak. Called them degenerate. All these type of things. That's what we're living in. Nihilism disguised as entertainment. So the answer, obviously, to the void in society is God. But that all starts with you. It starts with me, you, all these different types of people. Talking more openly about it and being people that are of intelligence. Or smart. Because how do you combat no meaning? You combat it with meaning through God. And meaning through actually saying things that matter. Like, One thing I noticed is that now I'm talking to more people related to what I'm doing now because people join my Discord. A lot of people just engage in like meaningless conversations, just say things that are stupid a lot of the time. And it's hard for me to understand. I can spurg out sometimes, but still, it's like, so you're saying things, you don't really mean any things you're saying, and you're not thinking about what you're saying. It doesn't make sense to me. I place great value in what I think about and what I do because ultimately, I've been given life by God, and life has meaning because of that. So people waste it like there is no meaning. Never really understood that. There's a short time to joke around and whatnot, but joking around should be like your secondary mode, not your primary. In any case, I'm not going to ramble too much. The answer is Christianity. Us Christian men need to be better. Us Christian men need to be seeking meaning, learning, becoming intelligent, so on and so forth. As transformation starts with you, transformation starts with me. That's how we're going to fix this. Alright, one video left. This one's going to be about money, so if you're broke boys, it's good for you. What is this? So my F-lux is flux, F.lux, however you call it, breaking out right now. Hold on. I should disable it for now. Expose me to blue light, blind me. Yeah, writing down the notes. You gotta write down the notes, dude. I'm a good note taker, guys. I gotta take my notes. Take my notes, guys. Hey, guys, we gotta focus. We gotta really make things happen. Chip, chop, skippity, scop. Oh, my God. Whenever someone makes a clips channel with me, they're gonna have if they finally unterminate my other channels, God, no one is better at clip farm than me. Okay, that's the truth. Alright? Alright, so yeah, so I got screenshots too. Whatever you do not look at the pinned messages in my Discord general chat. I'm probably have to take those down someday, but they're just so funny. My Discord, like, me 2 years ago might have been worse than me. I don't know, I didn't say if you don't have I ain't going to eat. But, I mean, I've always said crazy things. Jeez. Yeah, I'm a world famous catchphrase, that's true. Don't intend, then I ain't gonna eat. Know what I mean? Alright, let's we got away. Where is it? Okay. Alright, let's get into this. I'm trying to frame this right, because if I don't frame this wrong, it just sounds like prosperity gospel, and it's pretty gay, but it should be fun. Professional. I got this. These Bible verses will make you insanely wealthy, rich, whatever term you want to use. Let's get into it. Okay? Actually, no, let's start from the bottom. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves with many sorrows. So, you may think, oh, well, you're just telling us money's bad. How's it going to help us make money? No. I'm going to tell you guys something. Alright? There is no better way to not make money than being obsessed with money. Alright? Because to understand how this goes, you have to understand first how things are achieved. Okay? Things are achieved by trying, but not being super attached to it. Let me give you an example. Sleep. Let's say you want to go to sleep. Of all those situations where we want to go to sleep, but we couldn't go to sleep because, we're tired, but, we're trying really hard not to sleep. I'm saying, gotta sleep, turning, all these different types of things, and we can't fall asleep. But the second we just let go, the second we just forget about it. We fall asleep like little babies. Or you think of, don't think of a screwdriver. Do not think of a screwdriver. Do not think of a screwdriver. Do not think of a screwdriver. Think of a screwdriver. Because you're obsessing over it. Okay? The love of money is the root of all evil. That's the deadly sin of greed. But at the same time, the love of money also takes you away from money. It also turns you into a slave to money because what I always say, like in my business, money works for me. I don't work that much. But that's because I don't need that much money for what I'm doing right now. Right? It's not the period of my life where I need to make a lot of money. So I don't work much in my business. I work as much as I need to. That's because money works for me. I don't work for money. You see these people that are businessmen and they spend all these hours in the office and whatnot. They don't even get to enjoy the money because they're working for it. They're not letting the money work for them. So this helps you develop a healthy relationship with money. Right? So let's get into stuff that actually leads to the process of making money. It's not just a principle that's outlined. Mark 11:24. So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you received it, and it will be yours. Of course, there's also a verse that talks about faith moving mountains. So, I'll tell you guys how your mind works. Right? That's where your mind works. So, you have a... Okay, there. You have a conscious mind, and you have a subconscious mind. You also have an unconscious, but that's not really relevant for this. So, let me put this closer in. So conscious, subconscious. Conscious constitutes about 5 to 10% of your being. Subconscious constitutes, let's just mix in unconscious in there for the sake of brevity. That will constitute the other 90 to 95%. So, this is what belief is. Belief is of the subconscious. And belief is ultimately what gets you to move towards things. So, when you're one of these people who are like, well, I think I will make money. I believe I will make money. I'm trying to focus on this. You gotta focus on this. This is a feeling. This is faith. And ultimately, this is what facilitates your willing. And you have free will. So you're able to control that. And this principle, believe that you received it will be yours, is because there's a collective consciousness that you are a part of because you are a human with a will. And this collective consciousness ultimately leads to things changing in the real world. Because the real world has been given dominion by God to humans. And so God made it, God sustains it, but humans were given dominion over it. That's why it's so degenerate, because humans have completely failed in their dominion, starting with the fall. But this is ultimately how things actually work. Okay? When you believe with the subconscious through faith, which is a feeling, okay, you feel it, that will put you in the best position to move towards it. Alright? Because no person will be... There's that saying that goes, scared money doesn't make money. Faithless people don't make any money. It's in a similar manner. Because whenever you act, that's an extension of yourself. It's like, act. You're not acting in confidence. It's kind of like talking to a girl without any confidence. When you're talking to a girl without any confidence, she can sense that. In the same way, when you act without confidence, there's this intuitive aspect that just leads to you sabotaging yourself. So, and prayer ultimately is a feeling. Prayer is a 24/7 thing. Okay, prayer is not just, God, please make me not fat, and you just go out and eat a cheeseburger. That's not how it is. Okay, faith is a feeling, and that feeling should carry on throughout the whole day. That's real prayer. Not this other thing and that's part of prayer, the words, obviously, the process that is of that. That's good for setting an intention, but after that, you have to live it out through the feeling. Right? This is why some men fail, because men naturally aren't very good at connecting with emotion and feeling. So when they go to pray, they don't really feel it. When you don't feel it, that's when you don't feel God, So yeah, very important there. Next, for whatever person sows, he will also reap. As in the context of reaping from the flesh. And if you reap from the flesh, you're going to hate your life. But let's talk from the sense of, in the more general sense of, okay, whatever you put in will come out. There's something very important a lot of you guys need to realize as I try to reconnect there we go. Realize is that you were conditioned into a school system. The school system tells you success goes like this. Okay, success is, okay, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, 12th grade, you graduate, now you go to college. You're a freshman, you're a sophomore. I like freshmen. Gotta keep the catchphrase. Anyway, and job. Okay, you start at 15. I don't think anyone places a $15 minimum wage, whatever. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, so on and so forth, 20. Those are your raises, and then you get capped out. So you start off with something, and you get more of something, right? But when you do your own thing, right, when you're trying to build something, it's like this, okay? Nothing, and then you got something. Alright, this is like me. 1 month, $0, next month, $4K. That's how my whole business thing started. Well, I did business for quite a long time. That's actually the point here. It seems here that there's this disparity. It's because, look at this red, kind of transparent line as work. Okay? So work, when you're working a regular job, has a basically correlated relationship. It's almost the same. But when you're working on your own thing, it's more like this. So see, this is the skills you're developing. It's skills you're developing, it's the time you put into it, it's the things you learn, so on and so forth. For a very long time, you won't see anything from those skills. You won't see any of that, and that's what happened to me. I mean, I made a bit of money before I started my business, and I actually started making money with it. That's enough to support a family, feed them specifically, and get equipment like this nice camera I had that was like $750 or something. For me to get to that point, I spent a lot of years being on eBay, going to thrift shops, not really making a lot. Some months make 0, some months make 100, so on and so forth. But the whole time I was developing skills. That was me sewing. See the correlation now. That was me sewing. Now I'm just transparent. And sewing. And eventually, I reaped. So, always have faith. This goes back to the first one. This correlates perfectly with the one I just talked about. When you have faith, you can stay to sow. Stay sowing. This is all faith right here. With faith, you can hold this out. And then you eventually reap from your faith. That's how it works. All right? If you lose faith, if you don't believe, you never get to hear. That's why it says, the things you have to realize is that nothing is actually that hard. Like, getting a nice physique isn't hard. Making money isn't hard. All this stuff isn't that hard. It takes time and faith. Those are the hardest part of making money is believing that you can make money and having the faith to stick out the time when you aren't making money. And that's the hardest part of making money. The actual process of getting people to give you money is not that hard because people are retarded. They'll pay for anything as long as it looks decent and kind of flashy, right? Or it fulfills a need, first and foremost. And when I say it's not that hard, I'm not saying that psychologically it's hard, but the actual process isn't hard. It's not me saying it'll be like this. It takes time. It always takes time. Time is the great equalizer. Right? It's the most important thing. Time is the variable that leads to you actually getting somewhere. So that being said, those Bible verses will make you insanely wealthy. Just apply those principles to your business. You will notice a lot of success just based on this, because this is actually a lot of stuff that's related to basic financial advice, but it's given from that biblical perspective. It has more weight, has more strength, and will be of greater use to you. Okay, there's all the videos. Let's look at chats here. Honestly, I've learned that talking to loser women and thinking I am one has a correlation. I attract that to me and I embody it, so that is all I can have, or so I think. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Fan freshman ain't freshman. Alright, I'll see how that video cycle will do. Kind of but like I think the ideas were really good in terms of my framework, but at the same time, I am changing it, but now it has the effect of me being indifferent towards most females. Yeah, I think being indifferent for a time is good, because it allows you to be introspective, but it's important not to repress it, so it depends, but for a time, withdrawing for mental development is important. Yeah, I'm trying to make the algorithm think more clearly for Christian men, because there's two videos that did pretty good last cycle, and it was more, in the transcript, I was emphasizing more about Christian men, so trying that strategy. I want to better myself and learn to love myself. Yeah, a lot of content I make about that stuff. The video I made about how you have to be lonely before you can find God, that's a good video, because it talks about the psychology of actually starting what I call the first stage. And I do want to do some live events in the server, and I want to go over the stages, because I see a lot of people in confessions going over deep mental issues, and the stages are... The stages are basically the blueprint for psychological transformation, and I have all the theory in my brain, a lot of it in writing, but, I don't have it in any material, really, concretely, so I want to get it out there somewhere, in some sense. Because I want to save it for the course, the free YouTube course. It's going to be like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, but it's taking a long time. People are asking questions now, so gotta get it out in some capacity. Yeah, counseling or therapy, the problem with them is they are based on bad theories of psychology. Like the whole field of the field of psychology in reality is the most important field because it's about your mind. Right? The mind is the most important part. Like if you're talking about having faith in God, that's a mental thing. If you're talking about being successful, that's a mental thing first and foremost. Psychology is the most important field that you can study in. Because it also gets you closer to God when you have the proper assumption going into it. The problem is it's secular. The problem is it treats humans like monkeys without souls. Yeah, self-confidence always correlates to confidence in God. Because we have an image of God, and there's false images of God you can have, but when you have an image of God, and you don't have much faith in that image of God, because your center of consciousness relates to that for its values, so even like a atheist feminist believes in God, because feminism is their God, right? If they lose faith in that God in some sense, and they're very weak in that, that makes their confidence in the center of the consciousness very weak as well. So these people who are confident without God, they're confident for the wrong reasons, but it's because they have a strong image of God. Although it's wrong, and it leads them to bad paths, but that's how confidence works. Confidence, first and foremost, is about image of God, how much faith you have in that image of God. People have to suffer, yeah. So, when you're going down to your psyche, when you go into that deep void within yourself, where the bad things happen to you, that is your rock bottom. Right? Because, think of crying. Like, crying is a good example of being at rock bottom. What will make you cry? Something really sad. What could be sadder within yourself than the worst things that ever happened to you? You know? But when you bring them out, they're there to be purified through God. When you repress them, you aren't confessing. When you don't confess, you can't have them transform into the good. That's kind of the problem with the modern philosophies now, because if you go into secular psychology, you're going to get a lot of crying, but that's it. You don't actually move forward. You don't even purify it. You just, all these bad things happen to me, and that's really it. And they give you like these CBT exercises to try and change your habits, but they don't really purify the actual void. But then you get the other side, the super disciplined, like self-improvement, red pill guys, and they just say, oh, just go on, just be different, work out of it. It doesn't work either. You have to first delve into it, break, purify through God, and then you purify the body by uniting that purified sense of self with the body, because you're human. And then that leads to you finding your earthly purpose, what you should be doing in this life, your identity, who you are. You express that. If there's one place you be sure to go in your situation, it is, what's it? So, if our yo just map out all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. I just tell you, like, oh, here's your CBT exercise, just change your breathing pattern. It doesn't actually change anything. Because the thing is, like, we all have these breaking points where we're like, oh, you break and you're crying like a little pussy. If you're a woman, crying like a poor girl that needs to be helped, But, if you're crying, you're just, you're sad, you're moping around. That's, in some sense, a breaking point. After that, you're supposed to take that and purify it. And then you transform and transmute the energy to doing things. It's how it's supposed to be. But when you do therapy, you're just sad. I do not care about teens. I want to transcend that. But, it depends on what you mean. Some people, instead of crying, they get really mad. But I'm talking about the first stage of transformation where you have your breaking point. Where you have like this dark night of the soul. It could be crying, could be anger. There's a lot of different ways to cash out, but I don't know what you mean by transcend. How do you intentionally purify with God? So you purify by taking the material that's been surfaced, which is like this, it's like this dark, grainy material, right? Think of it like that. And you are trying to take that material, so this is the dark night, like, ooh, the material comes up, and then what you're doing with that is you're trying to become comfortable with that. And you're trying to unite the opposite of that thing. So let's say, oh, my mom was really bad to me. Okay, imagine a really good mom. Take those and hold those on the tension of both ends. Do this with all things. Literally everything. Hold the tension between both ends. Most importantly, the things that are coming up the most. Hold the tension on both ends. When you hold that tension, it creates unity. Because what happens through the fall, what happens through the bad things that happen to us, we become fragmented. We start breaking apart. So you have to take all these things and hold both ends. Because, let's say good and evil, right? We are not saints. So we have bad parts of us. We have an evil side, so to speak. But much like how we're taught, nothing is evil in and of itself. Evil is the perversion of good. So even that evil sense of yourself, there was something that was good that has been turned bad. So you have to take that and take the good and hold that on both ends. And what you get out of that is a united, proper image. So let's say that evil side of you includes, let's say you hold a lot of anger towards your mother. And that evil side leads to you wanting to do bad things to people. In some sense, you feel a sense of justice by doing that. Obviously, it's malformed, but that's the point. There's a sense of justice that's locked up in that evil side. So if you add in the good, unite, that justice starts working for good things. And it purifies the bad parts. So you do that. And then 2, through that, you're aligning with God's principles. So when you take this let's say this image of your bad mom with an image of a good mom, you imagine in your mind. You have this image of mother, which is held within the mind of God. So God holds universal ideas. So this image of God, right? That image of God contains proper image of mother, assuming you have the right image of God, Christian God. And when you hold this tension, you know that this is the proper image. So through that tension, you begin converging on that. Right? And then that's how you purify the archetype and archetypes. So the archetype of mom, archetype of woman, archetype of the creativity, so on and so forth. These archetypes, they facilitate action. So you have the archetype of woman, the archetype of woman that facilitates emotion. So if you have a bad archetype of emotion or a bad archetype of woman, you can't facilitate emotion. When you unite the opposites, you heal it through God, and then you can then work with that. You then actually facilitate emotion. So that's all to say. Intentionally purifying with God is taking opposites, uniting them, and uniting them under God in His proper image of how things should be. And the reason why you need to believe in God to do stage 2 properly is because there's no objective standard for what is right or wrong in a secular system. So that's why Jung's system is bad, because Jung's a Gnostic. So there really is no foundation for what is right or wrong. Move past that, go beyond just tears. I mean, like I said, crying usually is rock bottom. It could be anger, but usually anger is followed by crying. So, I think that's really as deep as you can go. And then after that, you move out of it. What are steps for that? Do I read my Bible? Yeah, so the steps for it are you read your Bible to get the principle, understand how it should be, and then throughout your day, you're seeing God in the little things. So I have a Nook right here. I'm flexing. It's $35. It's old, but I put books on it. That's all that really matters. This is a Nook. Don't mind the wallpaper. I didn't put that on there. And this thing allows me to read books. It's a little thing. It's only $35. This, when I look at it, I don't see a electronic device that puts words on it. I see something deeper. I see something that allows me to learn. And it allows me to learn because God has endowed me with consciousness. And I'm very thankful for that. So I don't want to waste that. So this is very important to me. And, this pen, I have a mind. And this pen allows me to write the ideas from that mind. And that mind's important because it's given to me by God. I want to write important things because of that. When I speak, similar to that. I have these scissors. These scissors allow me to do work, so on and so forth. When you start, this is gratefulness, but it also allows you to see God in the little things. Because when they talk about God, they're always talking about God in this grandiose way, of course, because it's God. It's all-powerful, almighty. But as much as God is in the big things, He's in the little things. All right? And this is the type of stuff that actually makes you feel good, because you only feel God when you make $1,000. But you should feel God when you make $10. Because God is as much in those $10 as the $1,000. What kinds of books do you like? I read a lot of educational books. So, a lot of psychology books. There's like 1,000 PDFs in my computer, but psychology books, marketing books, rhetoric books, history books, esoteric books like alchemy and stuff. And there's like one other category I'm trying to remember. Myth and fable, because it helps with the psychology stuff. Yeah. I do not read or pray. I'm too angry for that long. So the anger, is actually, like I said earlier, the anger is caused by you have these two ends of the spectrum, and it's over-identifying with one. Right? So the anger is brought up to compensate. You kind of think of it like a teeter-totter, right? Your mind wants to be like this. But then something happens to you that makes it go down like this. Like something bad. Boom. So the mind's like, well, okay, the teeter-totter's like this. It's actually like this. The teeter-totter's like this. We need to balance it, so let's use anger. Boom. But now it's unhealthy, right? So extreme anger, extreme sadness, all these type of things, that's caused by imbalance. You have to figure out what that imbalance is caused by. So can I only start phase 1 when I have an idea of God and his ideals? Well, phase 1 can technically be done as efficiently from a secular. Well, then you have a purpose for doing it. But stage 1 is really just understanding why you are who you are and mapping yourself out. That's the core of what it is. Having an idea of what God helps because it gives you meaning to go through it. And you can go through the stages on a secular perspective, but it's just not going to be as effective. You're not going to get true transformation, because true transformation comes from the truth. If you're not leaning into the truth, then how can you have true transformation? It doesn't make sense. But you can feel a lot better, and you can make money, and you can do all these things, but when it comes to Judgment Day, you won't get what you wanted. So ultimately, it's most important to go through. There's no true, real stage without that. What must I know before starting? You have to forget everything you knew about yourself. When people start with me, one thing that's always a roadblock is they assume they know things about themselves. The whole point of the reason why you are the way you are now is because you don't know yourself. Right? You think you want this, but deep down you want this other thing. For example, porn. Porn's a great example. Why do people goon? It's not because they like titties. It's because there's a deeper void within themselves being saved, quote unquote, by gooning. They feel like they're being saved in that way by gooning. That's not true. But you have to first admit that you don't actually know what you like. You don't know what you want. Because through that, you can actually investigate. So that's really the only prerequisite. You don't know anything. Purification. Yeah, you should always be reading the Bible. The Bible's always nourishing. Just that in stage 1, what you don't want to do is you don't want to try to do the right things too quickly, because what happens is that you end up rubber banding. So let's say you go. And then it's like, oh, that's such a bad thing. I'm going to go try and change. I'm going to change. You haven't actually dealt with the problem. You don't understand the problem. So it's like you're running to fix, a car, but you don't know how to fix the car. You don't know anything about cars. Because when you look in your own mind, really, it's like kind of like being a chick. As little 4 of 10 girls, like, hi guys, I like my smoothies, I like my dolls, hi, I got this Barbie, it's so cool. And then you put them in front of a car and say, okay, identify all the parts of the car and fix it. They're not going to get anywhere with that. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about cars, but the point is that is how we are at the start with our minds. We have no clue what the hell we're doing. So when you do something wrong, you try immediately changing. I understand that's the instinct, but it's not really right. What you should do is when you do something wrong, you have to really observe it. You have to really understand it. And when you understand it, that's when you can start changing it. Because here's the thing. Think of this like a depth. Okay? Like, okay, I'm going to go goon. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Ever. And imagine the gold is here. It's like, nope, not going to do it. No, I'm not going to, can't think about it. No, got to go here. It's like this. But eventually, this is like building weight. It's like pushing weight down. So then it's like, oh, man, I just Googled titties. Oh, no. That's how it is. So if you can just observe it. Okay, I'm looking. Don't lose control of your mind. Observe. And it's like, oh, this is why I do it. This is about my mom. Not bang bro step fantasy stuff. It's about my mom. My mom didn't love me. I didn't feel that way. This is nurturing me. That's when you have the goal. That's when you're like, okay, I can come back out and I understand what I'm actually doing now. You have to observe. It's very important. At the start, I don't tell anyone to change. What I tell them is, the only thing you're changing is how you're observing yourself. You're going to observe every little thing. You're going to write down every little thing. You're going to find what's causing it. And that in of itself really breaks the urge most of the time. Because addiction, bad habits, they thrive on ignorance. Being unaware. When you become aware, you're no longer in that state. So you can start actually seeing it, understanding it, and changing. So it's just the same. In stage 2, all that reading you did at the start helps our understanding more. They can do stage 2 in a good way. But honestly, stage 2 in a lot of ways is very intuitive because you kind of understand naturally what is a good mom, what is a good woman, what is a good man, so on and so forth. It's not breast milk. I wish it was my little big titty Latina wife and I was drinking breast milk out of the thing, but it is water. Okay? Unfortunately. And of course, most importantly, don't end in teen. See, nothing is better than me going on this like philosophical rant and then just saying something about teenagers. Like that's just perfect. It's contrast. Do you love? Of course, I love women. The woman I love most is my mom. Hopefully, she never finds my YouTube channel. Not because I say anything bad, and she would agree with everything I'm saying, but it's kind of awkward. You know, I'm kind of you see, I'm this very, outgoing type of guy around my mom, or around my YouTube channel and stuff. But around my mom, I'm a very, very low key, quiet. But yeah, I love women. Nothing against women. I have a short leash with them, because if they annoy me, I just block them. Nothing's more annoying than a woman who just talks too much. Shut up. Just block them, but yeah. I've never had a relationship with a woman ever in my life. Right, so this archetype of woman, so when you relate to women, and when you talk to women, this archetype goes onto them. Right, and that's why it keeps happening over and over again. Because this is subconscious. When I said what you believe in will happen, right? If you believe it, that archetype is belief. That's subconscious, unconscious. But this archetype was made this way by childhood experience with the woman. So the whole point of the stage is you're uncovering this, right? And then you're healing it. So when you're healing it, you can actually have good relationships with my grandmother, and I have a better relationship. There's mom. Go wrong. So, see, that's an assumption. Everything will go wrong eventually. Assumptions are projections. So that's an internalized thing. And that's really the point. Like, the first, when we talk about what you need before starting, we meant stage 2, but actually positive stage 1 as well, is understanding that reality, everything in front of you, really is just your mind being put out there. If you see it like that, it'll make a lot of transformation, because we always project things. We assume things, and you're projecting right now. For instance, you don't think I'm an AI. You're assuming I'm not an AI. And obviously, I've provided evidence I'm not an AI, but at the end of the day, there's still this leap of assumption you have to make. Now, if you were someone who was like, oh, everything is AI, everything's AI, everything's AI, you may think I'm AI. Now, I'm an extreme individual, but the point is that certain experiences, certain things shape us to be certain ways, and we see things in that light. Yeah, you're in the Matrix as long as you are unaware of that fact. The Matrix really is just being separated from God. That's the Matrix. Because without God, you don't know what's true. With God, you know what's true. It gets you out of the simulation. The world is so evil. Both genders have trauma from early childhood regarding the other, and it is internalized. I feel a pleasant factor for men and women, romantic setting, hookups, etc. Yeah, definitely. Because when a woman goes into a relationship, they project their father out. And that, even if they have a good father, they can over-idealize him, depending on how they were grown up and how they can balance it. But yeah, usually they have a bad relationship with their father, so they carry that into relationships. Same thing with children and their mother, or boys and their mom. In my case, I mean, the worst I'm going to do related to my mom and my girlfriend is, if she doesn't cook for me, I'm going to be like, well, I'm just going to go back to my mom's house because she would cook for me. So get in the kitchen before we get dumped. Move on to the next trip. The hell's chafing? Oh, chafing. Skin irritation. Oh. Huh. Didn't know it was called that. Oh, yeah, my thighs rubbed, one of the cons of working out is, I never have been frustrated because I've had to buy new suits. I have to buy some new clothes because I got a lot bigger. But, for legs, nothing's more annoying than buying new pants, and your leg is kind of like that thing where they rub together when we're walking and stuff. When I'm sitting, it's fine, but when I walk, sometimes they rub against each other, and it's really annoying. My leg, what are my quads, 25 inches, and it's not, from an average, it's relatively large, but for my frame, it's not that big. But still. Some people are growing 28, 29 inches, dude, you're crazy. I'm maxed out 26 or 27. I'm not a big fan of the big leg physiques for men. It's kind of gay. Builds like an hourglass shape. Yeah. Yeah, when I was 140, I didn't have that problem. I don't know when I'm going to buy my suit, because I'm going out on Sunday. Woo, I'm going outside. Woo! That's going to make it look so bad, but yeah. On Sunday, I don't know, I'm probably going to wear a suit to some kind of family event for Thanksgiving. Because I'm in a period of deep focus, and learning. I'll go outside more eventually, and that's when I'll be. I want to make a joke, but I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. I'm going to be scouting outside of a certain building, searching for prospects. Starts with an S, and starts with an H, ends with an L. 2 words. Hi, and then you know what's next. Oh, God. Not being a bowling ball is nice, yeah. Yeah. Scout, I got binoculars, cars, you're alright. Where's the next prospect? Come on. Oh, her, that's a B+. Alright, next. A+, alright, let's go. Hey, little mama, how you doing? Oh, God. That's funny. This whole teenager thing started because I said something very modest, and then one of my students was like, dude, you can't say that. It just became a running joke. And now look at where we are. Gonna make a GIF. Yeah, I gotta make I gotta get on GIF. Alright, you guys go into you gotta go into Discord, and you gotta list out the GIFs you want me to make. Alright, we gotta spread the message through memes. Yeah, we got a meme. Alright? Make a GIF, you guys send it to your friends. Your friends are like, who the hell's that? Oh, well, you should know who that is. Boom. So make a movement. For memes. Now it's not a joke anymore. Well, I always liked them young, but, Now, see, before I was kind of nervous, what will people think? But clearly I don't really care about that much anymore, so, I'm more straight up about it. Straight up. Joke writes itself. Yeah, moving up in the world. Yeah. Through memes. Yeah, old man is right. Yeah, I don't know what happened last stream. My internet was just pooping itself for some reason. Just to put it out there, already tested the logic and it's infallible. True. See, true. Because like what these people understand, like there's new people coming in and they're talking about like, oh, I don't know if you should do that. Do you not know I've been in the trenches debating for hours on this subject? I've been thinking about this for a very long time. Okay? You have to come at me with more than, well, you see, like, people are not gonna... I don't care. This thing has Charlie of all people. Oh, no, I've talked about it with other... I've talked with Landon, Graham, all of them. Graham was good. See, because Graham left, or Charlie left before I had the whole saga. So he came back. I'm saying these things like, oh, you can't say that because of this, because of that. And I basically redid the whole debate with him. And of course, teenagers for the win, as always. Oh, God. Now, it'd be really sad if, one day just people ask you, oh, who's this guy? Like, oh, the guy who likes teenagers. We always have to have our quirks, It's my quirk. Now, speaking of which, there's a certain individual here that has been ducking for quite a long time. I know you're in chat. You haven't taken up my challenge in a certain thing. You know who you are. You think you can just, hide in the chat. You can avoid a belt. I wish I had a belt. Yes. I could make such a funny joke, but I don't have a belt. About the chocolate. God. Actually, did you just racially profile me? That's so racist, dude. Oh my god. In public, so I gotta turn the stream down? Yeah, you're just saying that because you're not. I don't even have slippers. Slides. Yeah, we're just talking about teenagers for the past 10 minutes, so it'd be a good idea to do that. But sometimes you can't even blame me. There's something like, "Hey, welcome to Denny's." It's like this crazy voice. How could I not laugh? No. Isn't it crazy that we can just control a light like that? Imagine you did this 2,000 years ago. Execute you for being a sorcerer. You have a challenge for me? Oh boy. Was it not like teenagers? Oh boy. Well, what is your challenge? Something other than a tank top? It's branding. Alright? I have... Those clothes don't fit me. Okay, you know what? Just for you guys, I'll get a new shirt. Okay? End off the stream by putting on a new shirt. Alright? I know you haven't seen me in another shirt. If you watch my old channel, I used to wear this nice shirt, but I'll bring it back. Alright? You know, it's funny you say that about is he putting on weight so quick one of them ripped. My tank top's literally ripped. But alright. Let's bring this back. If you watched your channel a few months ago, you would know this was the signature shirt before the tank top. You know, I'm planning on wearing this for the courses. Alright, but I haven't recorded. Alright, here we go. Here you go. This is me. I'm not wearing the wife beater because, you know, it would be really bad to beat up your teenage wife, right? I would never do something like that. See, does it even fit me? I haven't worn this in like a month. Let's see. Yeah, it's a lot tighter, but still fits. There you go. Yeah, this thing fits a lot tighter. Okay. End the stream off. Nice red shirt. Because things, I have like a set of like 15 tank tops, so when I'm around the house, I just wear it. See, the thing is, when I wear tank top, I don't know, sure wear. Remember, I also have a. You know, this is going to be a sign of how much I grow. In my profile picture, you'll see I'm wearing a suit. This is that suit. Dust. Okay. And this is the shirt I wore. Well, actually, no. The shirt I wore was dropping everything. Very clumsy. The old shirt I used to wear was this, but this one doesn't fit me anymore. So about this one. This one's about to not fit me anymore either. But whatever. I'm not going to put down the sleeves to see the example. Okay. I can't even bring my hands to here. Alright. How do you do, gentlemen? In my suit? Oh, God, yeah, this is so uncomfortable. I can't wear this anymore. Oh, God. Okay, get it off. But yeah, that's why I need to buy a new suit. This one served me very well, though. The woman loved it. The woman loved this shirt, too. Remember, I was wearing this with some blue jeans, and, you know, all the... Because the thing is, Latina moms love me more than anyone. Teenagers like me, but Latina moms like me most. See how this one fits. This one used to fit on me like a tarp. I can't even get my arm into it, dude. Okay, there's no way. I can't even... Yeah, I can't. There's no way I can get that on. Whew. But yeah. I don't know. Will I start bringing out the white shirt again? I think I can't even really... Like, it's really hard to button it up anymore. And have it buttoned up. It's even that. It's like... That's probably like the most I can do it. There's no way I'm... Actually, it's softer maybe, but it's more comfortable. I feel like pulling on here too much. Yes. Vote yes for what? Yeah, whole wardrobe. I got all these clothes out and stuff. I mean, some people want to see my wardrobe. So, white shirt. All right, well, I'll do a poll in the Discord. That's what I'll do. Great clothing debate. This one. It's so tight around the waist. I have a... Yeah, no, we have disagreement. Disagreements are solved by democracy. Actually, let me try my other white shirt. Hold on. Go grab it. Other white shirt. This one is a stretchy one. So I should be able to fit in better. This is free content, guys. Don't clip this. You gotta pay for this, usually. Alright. Let's... It's a little... How white it looks pretty white on camera, but in person it's kind of a little off. Probably wash it. I haven't worn this thing forever. Okay. This one's a lot easier to put on. I'll say that. Yeah. Does this one look better? I feel it looks cleaner in the collar, but I don't know. It's kind of tight. Oh. No, it's judgment call. This or the dress shirt. This is more comfortable though, because I actually move my arms around. A lot easier. Yeah, we're gonna have a vote in the Discord. What are we wearing? From a brand new perspective, I should probably keep wearing the tank top, but you know, man of the people. Here's bro Jack. Bro, I've been talking about these for like 3 years. I don't even want to hear it. I can also pull up. I got a few leather jackets, stuff, but black button up. I do have some black ones. I don't know if it fits me anymore. You guys are really gonna make me turn over my whole wardrobe. You've been wearing it for longer? Dude, you were pulling up to the club in a YMCA, UCLA shirt, whatever it was. I don't want to hear it. Black one. I have no idea if black one fits. Well, that's what testing's for, right? Actually, let me just... Okay, it's the last one. I'm getting tired of going in that closet. Okay, like button. Okay, this fit me kind of loose last time I wore it, so let's see. It fits. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, that's kind of problematic. Oh, okay. Yeah, this does not fit. I can't even pull it. But, I mean, let's imagine. It looks dapper. Looks well put together. It fit, but evidently it does not fit. Okay. Alright, well. This probably turns into a I used to have this white suit too. This was nice. But it doesn't fit me anymore. Same size as everyone. But yeah. Alright, so that's the 15-minute thirst trap session done. I'm gonna call it a day. Appreciate y'all tuning in. See you in the next one. Whew, I got all the stuff to put away now.